This is MTG Nexus coming at you with Ando's donation deck list. Fortunately, he is in chat. So we're going to be playing Oops All Spells, which I will admit is a deck that I have not played before in even Legacy. So the concept, while not foreign to me, is a little bit different than your standard Magic the Gathering deck. It takes advantage of the double-faced cards that came out with Zendikar Rising in the form of things like Turn Timber Symbiosis, Seagate Restoration, Amaria's Call, Agadim's Awakening, and Shatter Skull Smashing, as well as Hagara Mulling. What it aims to do is to cast either Undercity Informer or Balustrade Spy, flip over the entire deck, hit your opponent with some Creeping Chills as they're milled over, as well as some Vengevines. Since you've already cast a creature in the form of Undercity Spy or Undercity Informer or Balustrade Spy, you then use Narcomoebas in conjunction with Sword of the Meek to get back Salvage Titan and cast Salvage Titan, thus triggering your Vengevines and theoretically bashing your opponent for lethal. One card that's a little bit different than some of the versions is Nexus of Fate. While you realistically are never going to cast this card, it does buy you an extra turn to be able to kill your opponent with your copies of Vengevines. This was in the version that I was watching Reed Duke play the other day. This was a Memory's Journey. Obviously a little bit risky because if the Memory's Journey gets countered, then you're just dead. So beyond that, deck is a pile of mana. You have Pentad Prisms, Talismans of Resilience, and Simian Spirit Guides to help accelerate, a deck that's just trying to cast and kill you in one shot. And then beyond that, you have Leyline of Sanctity, kind of protect you, give you some game 1 outs to discard spells and burn decks. And then you are a little bit vulnerable to counter spells, especially in game number 1. But fortunately you're not vulnerable to the card Force of Negation, because your primary combo is a creature. So if your opponent taps out for like an Uro or something, and then you cast your combo, unlike, say, the Charbelcher deck, you're not vulnerable immediately to just dying to Force of Negation. Sideboard, things are a little bit obviously cramped in this deck, so you can't go too far. The 4th copy of Leyline of Sanctity for matchups where that's relevant. Goblin Charbelcher as kind of a way to dodge graveyard hate, as this deck dumps its entire thing in the graveyard. 1 copy of Snow-Covered Swamp, as you are, once again, vulnerable to land destruction, as you're not running land in your deck normally. You bring this in when decks are going to be trying to Ghost Quarter and Field of Ruin you. 4 copies of Nature's Claim. This is kind of your out to Leylines and Rest in Pieces, etc., outside of bringing in Charbelchers, Fatal Pushes for permanent-based hate in the form of things like Meddling Mage and such. And finally, 4 copies of Thoughtseize when you need to punch through counter spells, or you need to disrupt your opponent's combo if they have a combo deck that is of similar speed to your own. And that, my friends, is about the limits of my understanding of this particular deck. As far as the mulligan decisions, as far as some other stuff, that's going to be, well, mainly because it's otherwise you're vulnerable to things like Field of Ruin and such, just cutting you off of mana. Because you do have to get to 4 mana to win the game, regardless of which win con you have. If you have Spy, Undercity Informer, or copies of Charbelcher in the post-board games, you definitely need to have access to 4 mana. And, the deck is, like, moderately vulnerable to some stuff. Like, obviously, I think the version I saw Reed running, it was like a very mixed thing, and I had like Pact of Negations and Veils of Summer and some other stuff. So and what I found curious is that they were running a basic mountain. Like, some of the versions were running basic mountain. I'm like, What does Mountain do? It doesn't even let you cast your primary combo pieces. So, sure, opponent good luck. So 1 mana, 2 mana, Simian Spirit Guide. And this is basically a turn 2 combo with Leyline of Sanctity protection. And we're on the play, so I think we keep it. Like I said, potential combo because with one of the Creeping Chills in hand, we may not be able to kill in one turn, which could be relevant, so. Nope. Oh, that's actually kind of a rough draw. Fortunately, this is not quite lethal. Salvage Titan. Exile some artifacts. Technically, you're not dead yet, friend. Reasonable turn 2. How are they dead here? 4. Oh, that is 16 power. They were at 14. Never mind. So, well, we don't know what our opponent's playing, so, bring in a couple copies of Belcher. Shade one of those. I think we're going to leave the ley lines in-ish. Maybe shave 1. And then maybe bring in a couple copies of Nature's Claim. Go down like a Pentad Prism, question mark. Like Phantasmagorium, this is a card that I kind of forgot to touch on. I know Reed was boarding out this card a lot, but this is actually like a key card, like in case Vengevines get stuck in your hand, they'll allow you to pitch them. And then beyond that, I'm not really sure. Because, like, I'm not really sure what our opponent was on, so, like, they could be on Jund, they could be on a lot of decks, they could just be on Gruul. This hand just doesn't do anything. This hand has the mana, but it doesn't have any of our kill cons. I think we have to go to 5. Going to 3. I think we're in a lot of trouble here. Vengevine, Spy, Charbelcher. We're just flat up against Gruul. Like, obviously, as awesome as the turn 2 combo is, this is kind of the other side of the equation, right? Like, just sit here, dirtle, and do nothing. And we really wish we'd kept the Belcher in our hand. Oh, that definitely means we can board out the 4th copy of Leyline. Nature's Claim's pretty useless as well, so we might want to bring in Fatal Push, actually. Because their graveyard hate is probably Scavenging Ooze and Clothies. Yeah, Nature's Claim is looking really embarrassing here. I mean, I guess I play out an Informer as a blocker, potentially. I don't think it'll successfully block anything, but you never know. Presuming they leave in some number of bolts. Yep. That's fine. Maybe they'll let their guard down for a turn and we can get them. I doubt it. They've got an absurd amount of mana, but especially since they just have lethal next turn. Yep. I mean, I really don't want to show them my deck, so I'm just going to concede here. We'll look into 5. Obviously, they had their skews, so the Leyline out of there. The Nature's Claims out of there. Bring in a couple copies of Fatal Push. Blood Moon could be a bit of a problem too, so I'm supposed to bring the Pentad Prism back in potentially too. And just kind of go like this. We have a couple Fatal Pushes and as an out to the thing, plus we also have a Charbelcher. So we have 4 outs to not losing the Scavenging Ooze basically, plus, you know, just turn 2ing them. Okay, so what does this hand do? This is a turn 3, but no... I mean, I guess we keep it. It is a combo, but they obviously could have their setup. No land, put it back. Get out of here, Tavern. Oh. How you doing tonight, man? We turned 2 to them game 1, and then game 2 we lost to... Ah. That's going to be a problem. Well played, opponent. Well played. Turn 1 Cage is brutal. Sorin Imperious Bloodlord is insane. Can be. So are we hoping to cast Amaria's Call and going to town there? There's no way, right? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Yeah, sure. Why not? I don't think it's going to win us the game, but it is entertaining. Yeah, we're now locked out of casting spells, pretty much. Never mind. JK. Well, Ando, are you getting your money's worth? Are you getting your money's worth yet? Pillage, sure. Probably blow up my talisman here. Oh, they're blowing up the Sword of the Meek. Sure? Question mark? Oh, there's so many hidden alt win cons in this deck. It's kind of stupid. Who was it the other day? Somebody had a post about versus mono white tokens. Somebody had a unlocked achievement dying to what was it? Simeon's Spirit Guide and so Luris? I think this hand's awkward. Like, we need a second land. Like, how many mana sources are in this deck? And we're on the draw. I think this hand's good enough, actually. Like, as crazy as it is, this hand might be good enough. Well, yeah, Leyline's good. I'm not, like, questioning that. It's just the mana situation that I'm honestly questioning. Like, can we hit a second land or second, well, relative land drop? I think we keep, but this hand is, you know, questionable. We'll put it that way. 20 some, I think. 3, 7, 11, 13, 15, 16, 17, 21. 21 actual lands. Oh, and they're Boggles, too. Okay. This is about as interactive as you get. Alright. They could have Path to Exile, which is a notable card, and this one actually isn't the greatest because we only have one color of mana, so... Alright, that's pretty good, I think. Drawing Nexus is awkward, but I don't think it matters. We can use Phantasmagorium to pitch Sword. I guess Nexus too, technically. So Phantasmagorium, once again, saving our bacon. Need to find Phantasmagorium here. Let's go read cards. All these triggers have to go on the stack first. Discard that, and that. Yes. 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 Trigger, always yes. Salvage Titan. What's going on? I'm scared. You're dying. That's what's going on. Alright, so we can probably board out the ley lines. We probably want to bring in most, if not all, of our nature's claims. Might want to bring in the Charbelchers, go down one of the spy / informers, and then go down a little bit of the mana maybe. Not sure what the other cut is. Nexus of Fate's kind of important in this matchup because they are a deck that can gain some amount of life. Like, what is the other cut is the question mark. Like, we could go with the coward of try to cut an Archimedes and hope we don't draw it, / whatever. This hand has a very similar problem, but we do have Belcher, so that's fine, I think. We have that into that. Do you think we keep this hand? Like, we really need to find... Chill is not the card we were looking for. Maybe I was supposed to mulligan this hand. Alright, that's a thing. Yep, taking 4 here. they kill me this turn, then we're dead. If not, then we're good. There is some number of draws that could kill us here. I don't know that our opponent has the ability to deal us 11 here, but if they do, or if they can blow up the Charbelcher, we're dead. If they don't, then, you know, we're likely good. You might still be dead here. This is... How do I say this nicely? I really hate people that are crying about mistakes or choices they made, and then they still win the game. That's kind of frustrating, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I mean, obviously we can still win the match, but that's just, like, kind of salt in the wound there. So 2 mana. Can I keep this hand? Like, losing the chill obviously is bad. We have a lot of win cons in our hand. Just, I feel like I'm supposed to mulligan this hand. Mulligan into an even worse hand. Maybe I'm supposed to keep that game 1 or turn 1 hand. Okay, what does this one do? One, two. So the Nexus is definitely going back. I guess it's the Spirit Guide? Yeah, this hand's good. I'm just, like, debating what card we were putting back is all. Like, we have the resiliency to Graveyard Hate with Charbelcher. We have the Balustrade Spike kill. Just gotta draw a 4th mana of some kind. Vengevine's not like the card we want to draw, but... See if they have Rest in Peace. Okay, looks like they're just on a try to kill us as quickly as possible hand. Looks like we're gonna have 2 draw steps here. Well, I mean, there is some combination of cards that could kill us next turn, so maybe Shocking In wasn't correct. Oh, I have the combo. The problem is, my friend, I'm not sure I can kill you. I wonder if my opponent realizes that I don't actually have the win here. Where is Salvage Titan? Agreed. Like, I'm pretty sure they've won, but they're like sitting here crying, sitting here bitching, sitting here whining. The attack really profits us nothing. It puts them to 5. Well, puts them to 1. Then they go to 9. So and while it does have some turn 2 wins, which obviously isn't great for the format, turn 3 is about on par with normal Modern. Yep. Yep. Why wouldn't you attack? I mean, we're pretty clearly dead here, right? They go survive at 1. Wow. You know. You know. Play a brainless deck. Don't know. Bitch and whine about your opponent being lucky and still win the match. Boggles players. Oh, man. That's a Boggles. Alright, we're on the play. Mulligan. Sand's pretty bad, actually. We need 2 more mana. I mean, because of Leyline, I think we keep this hand, but this hand is, like, extremely vulnerable to just, like, not doing anything and dying. So, I do think we keep, put back Nexus. No, we put back Creeping Chill. There we go. Alright, blue deck, so we die. Okay, how do you go to keep 7 and not have a turn 1 play? Or not have, like, 2 lands or a functional hand? That's a magic. So, you know, Magic, it's a game of inches. Like, you know, we almost... Oh, I see. Well, okay. Well, could die to a Goryo's Vengeance here, because we kept a mediocre hand, and, well. I wonder if we're up against the Esper Lark deck. Nope, looks like we're up against old-fashioned Goryo's Vengeance. Wow. See, our opponent gets it. They just play something equally broken and kill us. You know? So, there's a deck a long time ago I used to play from time to time. Was like Black-Red Goryo's Vengeance, only this was like when Faithless Looting was legal. It would bring in like... would have Through the Breach in that. It would also have Quicksilver Amulet as a way to sidestep Graveyard Hate. Had discard spells, so the ley lines are relevant. Problem is, if our opponent has opposing ley lines, what do we do? I think we bring in a couple of Belchers, go down an Undercity Informer, maybe bring in like one Nature's Claim, risk boarding out the Phantasmagorium in this matchup, maybe risk in Archimedes. We have some outs to anti-Graveyard Hate. Like, they can't really play Cage, they can't really play... they could play like Spellbomb and stuff, but Sanctity gives us some outs to that. So I'd like to play first. This hand's just too slow. It's like a turn 4 Balustrade Spy. This hand has kind of the same problem our original hand did, in that we only have one land, and like we have 2 payoffs. I think this is a mulligan as well. This hand's fine. Back Sword of the Meek and Vengevine. Keep. And they're going to have a ley line. Yeah, if they're mulliganing the ley line, we're pretty much dead. Obviously, a discard spell blows us up quite nicely. Opponent could have, like, haggle here, I guess. Like, if they go haggle into, whatchamacallit, we could easily die. Okay, nothing. What are they repping here? Crypt Incursion? Like, I mean, we kind of have to go for it here, right? That was dumb. I shouldn't have done the thing. What did our opponent have that they were trying to rep? I give surgical here, we're dead anyway, so I guess we're not strictly dead if they have surgical, because we still have another turn, and I think lethal in play. Am I supposed to bring in Thoughtseize over our anti-graveyard package? Part I honestly don't know. This is the part about the deck that I'm just, like, not sure on, is, like, these sideboarding situations. Double A line, no mana. I do think we keep this one. I don't really know that going to 5 on the draw against a 7-card hand is going to be good for us. Because we do have resilience to ley line in the void. It's just a matter of, can our opponent kill us before turn 4? If they can, you know. Plus we need to draw a 4th mana source, but that's more likely than, like, mulliganing to a 5-card hand where we need, like, to draw a mana source to enable our second play. So I think we'll just put back Creeping Chill here. Yep, there's a Ley Line of the Void coming. Which is annoying, but beatable. As long as they don't take our Belcher. Beatdowns begin, I guess. Bookman's not relevant. Through the Breach to kill us. Okay. Kind of a weird matchup to run into, but not completely off the wall, I suppose. Still a deck that got a lot worse with the loss of Faithless Looting. That was a deck I really enjoyed. Like, it was a less all-in version. And the version I played didn't play Fury of the Horde like they did. It was just more of like a black-red mid-range control deck that just like had this like combo finish. Yeah, I agree, Dando. That was unfortunate, but, you know. I think that's the thing with a deck like this is, you know, obviously I'm probably not piloting it at 100%. But, you know, the games are a lot closer than people probably want to, like our wonderful Boggles opponent. So, keep. Turn 3 combo? Turn 4? This might be turn 4. No, we gotta play Agadeem's Awakening here. Could be Uropile. Alright, that should lock up a turn 3 win. Depending on what our opponent does here. Sure. So Gruul again. Alright, opponent knows when they're dead. Leylines aren't relevant against Gruul. Charbelchers are relevant. Like, against their particular graveyard hate, am I supposed to bring in Claim or Push or Thoughtseize? Kind of bring in the coward split here. One fatal push to have an out to... I guess Hagra's Mauling also technically is an out to Scoos. So maybe I'm supposed to just bring in the pushes. I think we keep this hand. Like, obviously, we're vulnerable as heck to LD with this hand, but... Sure. Turp Orb's kind of cute. I guess they might be on the Karn version that, Ooh, Karn would actually be really bad for us. There was a version that Yama Killer played that was like a Karn the Great Creator version of the deck that just like had some random artifact hate and was supposedly good against yeah, sure, whatever. Relic's not relevant. You have an Abrade or something too? Oh, they're just popping Relic. Alright. I was like, if they have a Braid on top of everything else, I mean, good on them, knowing all the angles. That's rough. Yeah, Pillage, sure. Creatures entering the battlefield doesn't cause abilities to trigger. Alright, they had the answer to whatchamacallit, which is unfortunate, but only so much you can do, right? Sure. Problem is, one of the Narcomoebas is already in our hand. So... Two, three, four... Unscript, sure. Because why not? Coming with all the hate. Yeah, like I said, just seeing all these hate cards makes me really think that he's on the version that Yama was playing the other day in a whatchamacallit. Pillage, blow up our Pentad Prism. Takes away most of our outs, unfortunately. I guess if we draw exactly Charbelcher, we have a shot this turn. Oh yeah, somebody really hurt him badly. I guess we use the hidden mode on Balustrade Spy. Oh, it doesn't... I should have just cast this because it doesn't trigger Torpor Orb. Yeah, I agree. Somebody hurt this player badly. Show us where on your graveyard you were hurt, opponent. Show us where on your graveyard you were hurt. Here, 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 here. Everywhere. Sure. So we definitely want to bring in or flip-flop Balustrade Spy for Understudy Informer. Okay, Scoos, sure. That's beatable. Don't think we block here. Hagra's Mending. I mean, theoretically that buys us a turn, but what are we even drawing to at this point? Because we go to 2... I think we just kill Scoos, right? Chump block out of this turn, get one more look at I don't even know what. Obviously we're dead to Bolt or whatever anyway, so... QB? Sure. I'm gonna go look up Yama's list. I'm curious if our opponent is on Yama's build. I'm a killer. Yeah, it really looks like from what we've seen our opponent's on Yama's list. Yama had 2 relics, a Tormod's Crypt, a Torpor Orb, had a couple copies of a Braid. Yeah, it really wouldn't surprise me if our opponent's on Yama's list. Just from that amount of artifact hate, just feels like... We're back on the Informer, go down on a Spy. Yeah, it looks like he's on Yama's list, and just probably boarded out the Karns and boarded in the artifacts they'd want to wish for anyway. Mana. Useless card, useless card, useless card. Only win con. Got a mulligan this. Hagra's Mulling, Creeping Chill, Phantasmagorium. Okay, so 2 mana, 3rd mana. I think we keep this one. Pitch. What, Creeping Chill? Relic is not relevant, at least to what we're planning to do with this hand. Really need to draw another untapped mana source of some kind. Seems to be the story with this deck when you mulligan. And we're kind of all in on this plan anyway, so Belcher, go. Do you have the Abrade? If you do, GG pretty much. Okay, they have the Abrade, so we're SOL. Cool. Play sword, because you never know when it might come up. So what is like our best draw here? Opponent's like, okay. Tank, tank, tank. Blow up one of your black sources. Tank, tank, tank. Yep. All right. 1 and 3 so far. Pretty sure we won, what, just about every game won, other than against Goryo's Vengeance. But yeah, the just the sheer weirdness of the artifacts we saw game number 1 just led me to believe that we were up against Yama's build. And it turns out I was correct. But yeah, that deck has 2 Oozes, 2 Clothies, 2 relics, a Tormod's Crypt, and a Torpor Orb that are all relevant. And then has 4 Pillages and 2 Abrades to deal with Charbelcher in addition to Karn. So a deck that feels uniquely set up for our particular brand of what we're trying to do. So but definitely an interesting learning experience. Like, this is a deck that definitely stretches like conventional. This is more akin to like a legacy combo deck, where you're just trying to like figure out what the best like strategy is overall. Like, I really think that the matchup we should have won somewhere was the Boggles matchup. But, you know, died to Xaxes game 2, and then game 3, despite our opponent punting badly, they ended the game at 1 life. So one mana. This hand's just a mulligan, right? So is this hand a keep? 1 mana, 2 mana, Pentad Prism. I think this hand's a keep, putting back, what, Creeping Chill? Because Vengevine we can always pitch with Phantasmagorium. Okay. Hex Drink or go? I have no idea what we're up against. Sure. So now we're just 1 untapped mana source away from winning, essentially. Hopefully we find one in time. Wow. Yeah, I should have actually pitched Phantasmagorium, but I don't think it's going to matter here. Should have popped the Actually, what's funny is if our opponent does the thing now, we actually lose the game. All the freaking things to lose to. We are running really weird today. Indeed, main deck EE, some type of green-white Eldrazi. Despite the presence of Thought-Knot here, I don't think Leyline's actually all that relevant here. So I think we just want to bring in our anti-graveyard hate stuff. So like some number of Nature's Claims and the Charbelchers maybe. It's been a weird Leando. I hope you're getting your money's worth. So this hand does nothing. This hand does Charbelcher things. Put back Narcomoeba, I guess. Oh yeah, it's very good. It's just Sideboarding with this deck seems to be very tricky. Basically, draw one more mana source here. We should be good. Hopefully, we draw one more mana source before they TKS us. That'd be nice. Oh, yeah. Well, that's annoying. Looks like green-white Eldrazi and Taxes. We're about to get thought not seared and hate our lives. Maybe. Still could be a possibility. Right at the bottom, blowing up our mana. Well, this is how we die. Oh, man. The random stuff that gets you with this deck is entertaining, I suppose. So I think, Ando, you have the best quote so far. It's good when it works. Everybody hates there's turn 2 kills with this deck, and yeah, that's bad. Some decks just don't interact with it at all. Burn, for the most part, doesn't really interact with it. We probably could have won the Boggles matchup if I would have done something differently, maybe. I'll have to go back and watch that. The Goryo's Vengeance deck, yeah, whatever. The loss to green-white Eldrazi and Taxes, which we played a lot of weird matchups today. We beat traditional Gruul. We lost to I'm Slanted because someone hurt my butt with Graveyard Hate Gruul. Yeah, just a lot of incidental things get us. Karn's annoying. In a lot of ways, this deck feels like a less resilient version of Adnaz. Maybe a little bit more explosive and doesn't require all of the pieces, but at the same time, has the same ad nauseum conundrum. You need the mana, you need the payoff, and you need the payoff to resolve. But you don't have the cantrips that ad nauseum has. But you're I don't want to... It's not really Neoform, because Neoform has other things that it loses to. But, if you shut down the mana, or if you shut down the graveyard, this deck has a lot harder time winning. And it seems like a good bit of people are prepared for the Charbelcher sideboard plan. So, the one matchup we won, we actually won with Ameria's Call, which is kind of stupid. So, the deck has, basically 3 win cons, especially in the post-board games, but I don't know. A lot of these decks are just like Neoform and this and Charbelcher. They're powerful, but they're inconsistent. And Graveyard Hate, obviously, as we saw, was very effective against this deck. And the Charbelcher plan was prepared for, so. Oh yeah, I'm not complaining about the experience. I'm just simply saying the deck, probably the reason you don't see more of the deck is this inconsistency issue. Like, you know, a lot of the best decks in the format, Uro decks, and Burn, and Prowess, and Tron, and Jund, and even to a certain extent Death and Taxes, and Humans. The decks are all consistent in executing their game plans. And Modern is a brutal format that just, like, you know, they're... Like, a lot of people say it's starting to get Legacy light in that, you know, you have turn 2 combos, and you shouldn't die, and you shouldn't do this, and you shouldn't do that. But there's just a lot of random things that just, like, get decks like this. Thalia, and, you know, a Braid, and a Pillage, and Blood Moon, and, you know, Karn the Great Creator. You know, the non-creature-based combo decks all have weaknesses of some kind. Neoform, inconsistent as heck. Dies to Path to Exile, dies to Grafdigger's Cage, dies to Thoughtseize, dies to Force of Negation. This deck dies to Graveyard Hate for the most part. Yes, you have some wiggle room in post-board games against it, but you're weak against actual counter spells. You know, the Charbelcher deck has a lot of the same problems we do, except they have to have Charbelcher. And I guess they have Charbelcher and the one that allows them to shuffle the top of their library with Clash or whatever it is. But they have the same problem we do. They only have 8 win cons in the main deck. So you have to mulligan to a win con and mulligan to mana. And, you know, sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't. As far as the sideboarding, I'd have to go and watch, like, in more detail, like, what cards are actually sideboardable out. Like, I can't watch Reed's video. Like, Reed was very good for learning, like, mistakes with the deck and this, that, and the other thing. But Reed was very clearly not, like, versed with what cards get boarded in and out. I'd actually have to research it if I would run this deck back. And this is the kind of deck that I don't like to play a ton, because I am very much about consistency and deck executing its game plan. So this is not a deck that I could play on a consistent basis, even if it was, you know, like a deck that would routinely 3-2, 4-1. You know, it's a deck that I can only stomach so much because of that inconsistency issue. Whereas, you know, you look at the decks that I have played traditionally, Burn, Prowess, Tron, Is It Phoenix? You know, those are decks all with a bit of redundancy and consistency, and, like, doesn't necessarily fit my play style a lot. This kind of deck's fun to play in small doses, but I definitely seem to be a player that prefers more consistency than explosiveness in my decks. So, even in Legacy, like, so far the decks that I've found in Legacy that I like are Death Shadow, Sultai, Shardless Sultai, and Turbo Muxus. Oh, you're about to bring up Living End? I'll consider it Tavern. You know? Like, I'm not dogging on Living End, but, you know, money talks. I mean, I'm not trying to be that guy, but money talks. But, you know, Living End could be fun at some point. Like, Living End's a deck that I've never Have I ever played Living End? I might have played Living End at one point. Maybe not on this channel. Maybe on the old channel I might have played it. But... oh, I see. As I've opened my eyes to Magic and such, like, kind of my philosophy with Magic has been, like, embrace fun as much as competitiveness. Like, I've gone down the competitive trail, and while I don't get me wrong, I still like to win, and I don't like to waste money in terms of, like, you know, value with leagues and stuff. I found that if I get too competitive, I walk that line, and the temptation's too great. So I can't be a competitive Magic player. I'm just too high-strung, too wired to be competitive, and it makes me walk that line of what I do, whatever it takes to win, and by whatever it takes, I mean crossing the line, and I'm just not comfortable with that as a person, that I'm just that tempted to win. Now, obviously, there's only so much you can do on online formats, but like in paper, you know, there's more things you can do, and that's just a temptation that I don't like. I found when I was grinding PTQs and stuff that I was a little too considering things like that. So it's one of those things where I try to embrace having fun as much as winning. So hence why I tend to stick with decks with consistency. But yeah, Living End's fun. You know, I might do it sometime off the cuff. You never know. But hey, Ando, thanks for the donation. By the way, I'm doing donation deck lists for basically upcoming whatever. The main thing is it's going to be a reward for Twitch Prime and for Patreon things when I get that back up and running. That's going to be back up and running by November 1st. I still got to do a little bit of editing on that. Basically, the line is $15 other than Foz. Foz is kind of a weird case because he's done like a ton for the channel and like gone above and beyond with like different codes from the whatchamacallit things that Wizards does, and you know, has donated for an absurd amount of decks, so he kind of gets the $10 discount. But, you know, he's just done above and beyond pretty much anybody else has ever done for the channel. Like, there are people that approach it, like Teferi approached it, War Dog's done it quite a bit, Ando's done quite a bit of late. My brother donated for like a month-long control deck thing when I was still doing, like, when I was trying out different things. But, yeah. Just, this deck was a blast, like, especially match one. That win was just absurd. So... but if anyone wonders why I don't play too competitively, it's just because I get too into it, and it can, like, cause unhealthy behavior of, like, grinding too hard or, you know, throwing money away, trying to, like, play the best deck, or, you know, just that kind of stuff. So I've been to that precipice, and I don't want to go there, so I kind of reeled it back in. Like, I still play in big events occasionally, you know, like, I played in the modern whatchamacallit showcase earlier this year, in one of the month events when I had enough qualifier points. I played a PTQ last year, you know, started out 3-0, 3-1, was like 1 life point away from starting out 4-0. You know, so I still will, like, play big events on occasion, but, like, I'm much more comfortable as kind of a casual, competitive casual, I guess I could say. So, well, anyways, I got other stuff I got to work on tonight. I would do World of Warcraft, but they just did a update to the patch, and I'm not quite sure, like, what's going on with it yet. So I don't want to, like, you know, try to switch over to WoW and, like, try to figure out the new stuff for the Warrior while, you know, on stream. So I'd rather do that off stream. as I play my mains or whatever. So, but we will definitely be back streaming tomorrow night. Probably most likely Burn again. I did have a 5-0 off camera today with the Burn list that I built on stream, so that kind of felt like a nice validation. That'll be going up sometime in the next couple days. And War Dog, if you're seeing this, you still need to send me your donation deck list. And let me look something else up. Problem is, I don't know who watches this and who watches the whatchamacallits. Okay, so Ando, you've already done your thing. War Dog still needs to send me his thing. Russell from Patreon, if you're still out there, you need to send me what deck you want to see. And Badler from Patreon, you also need to send me what deck list you want to see. I'm also going to email everybody that's on Patreon that's still currently contributing to Patreon, even though I haven't collected since, I think, January. I'm going to send them an email reminder that they're still signed up for Patreon, that if they want to take it down, they have until November 1st. So I'm trying to give everybody as much leeway as I can to take the Patreon stuff down if they don't wish to contribute to it. And as far as the updates to the Patreon, that I laid it out kind of on the community page the other day, so go ahead and check that out. And once again, on Twitch here, if you're subscribing, which I know there's a couple people that have been subscribed. Ando, obviously, you've subscribed for 3 months. See, with Twitch, I'm kind of being generous because I only get half of the revenue from Twitch Prime, but I'm counting the entire Twitch Prime, so I'm counting it as if it's $5 for tier 1, even though I get $2.50 basically. So I'm kind of being generous in that regard, but that way people aren't getting feel like they're getting gypped for their Amazon or their Prime. I figure it's a nice way to. Well, you don't have to do your Twitch Prime either, so it's how I'm gonna roll for now until I get to the point where, if I have too many donation deck lists and it starts backing up, I might reevaluate how I value it. But right now we're kind of in that stage where there's not a ton of Twitch Primes, and it might take a little while for the Patreon stuff to start doing things. So we'll see how that rolls, but that's how I'm going to go for now. So, once again, thanks, Ando, for being the first to subscribe to the channel. And for everybody else hanging out tonight or seeing this later, thanks very much. This has been John for MTG Nexus and Tavern. Thanks for hanging out, as always. Always a pleasure, my man. So, and if you like modern content, don't forget to check out Card Market, YouTube channel. Tavern does some stuff over there. Check out his stuff. Check out the other guys. Peace. This has been John for MTG Nexus.